A young priestess joins a group of rookie adventurers who decide to raid a cave infested with goblins. Things quickly go awry when the inexperienced party is ambushed by goblins, resulting in all of them, save for the priestess, being killed or captured. Priestess is rescued by the arrival of Goblin Slayer, who swiftly kills the goblins attacking her. She decides to follow Goblin Slayer as he proceeds deeper into the cave, killing more goblins and teaching her about their psychology and battle tactics. With Priestess's help, Goblin Slayer is able to kill the remaining goblins, including a goblin shaman and hobgoblin. They then discover several goblin infants, which Goblin Slayer mercilessly kills to prevent them from becoming threats in the future. Despite the traumatic experience, Priestess decides to join Goblin Slayer as his adventuring companion. Goblin Slayer accompanies his childhood friend, Cowgirl, to the city to sell her uncle's farm produce. He later heads to the Adventurers Guild to find work, where he is treated by the rest of adventurers as a weirdo due to his low-quality armor and only accepting goblin quests despite being a high-ranked adventurer. Nevertheless, Guild Girl is glad for his help since most adventurers don't take goblin quests due to their low pay, and those that do are inexperienced. Goblin Slayer reveals that when he was a boy, his village was attacked by goblins, who killed nearly all the villagers, including Cowgirl's parents, and that he saw his older sister killed by goblins. This led him to train himself and learn how to kill goblins, but also resulted in him becoming socially awkward and obsessed with killing goblins, which Cowgirl's uncle warns will be why Goblin Slayer will never be normal. Cowgirl continues to support her friend despite her uncle's warnings, as she wishes to apologize to him for not bringing him with her to the city the day before the goblins attacked their village. Later, Goblin Slayer and Priestess attack a fortress occupied by goblins, burning it down and preventing the goblins from escaping. Elsewhere in a large city to the east, a High Elf and her companions confirm that an adventurer they call Orc exists, whom they are looking for. High Elf Archer, Dwarf Shaman, and Lizard Priest ask Guild Girl for an adventurer who they call Orc, who is actually Goblin Slayer. While Goblin Slayer talks to the trio, Priestess gets defended by Witch, an acquaintance of Goblin Slayer, when some rookie adventurers try to convince Priestess to leave Goblin Slayer and join them, who they assume is only using Priestess as bait. High Elf Archer explains to Goblin Slayer that their races have united with the human kingdoms to fight against the Demon King's army and want to hire him for a quest related to that. Much to High Elf Archer's anger, Goblin Slayer initially refuses, as demons are not his concern. However, Dwarf Shaman and Lizard Priest mentions ruins in elven lands occupied by goblins, which convinces him to join them. Priestess also joins their quest after calling out Goblin Slayer for not talking with her first if she wanted to join. As the group make camp and enjoy their race's food, a drunken High Elf Archer berates Goblin Slayer for his rude behavior and narrow-mindedness while the others talk about where goblins came from. After reaching the ruins and once High Elf Archer killed the sentries, Goblin Slayer and the others head inside. Goblin Slayer's group enters the ruins where he notices there are no totems inside, suggesting that these goblins are not led by a goblin shaman. After saving the life of an elven prisoner tortured by goblins, an angry High Elf Archer vows to avenge her fellow kin. The group soon finds a hall where all of the goblins are resting. Using sleeping and silent spells, Goblin Slayer's group kills all the sleeping goblins without alerting the others. However, their silence alerts the goblins' leader, an ogre who is the servant of the Demon Lord. The ogre attacks the group using his strength and fire magic and proves difficult to kill due to his large size and ability to heal minor wounds quickly. With his allies at their limit, Goblin Slayer uses his trump card, a magic teleportation scroll given to him by Witch, which sends strong jets of water from the bottom of the ocean to seriously damage the ogre before giving him the killing blow. As elvish reinforcements arrive to take over the ruins and Goblin Slayer group heads back to the city to rest, the experience she had with Goblin Slayer and his obsession makes High Elf Archer want to take Goblin Slayer on a proper adventure. After recovering from his wounds, Goblin Slayer helps Cowgirl cart supplies to the town. There he meets High Elf Archer, Dwarf Shaman, and Lizard Priest, and tells them he's open to the idea of exploring some ruins with them. Priestess informs him that she has been promoted to the next adventurer rank and formally thanks Goblin Slayer for saving her life. He then encounters two young adventurers who lost the sword in the sewers infested with giant rats, and he advises them to use a club as an improvised weapon so they can retrieve it. Guild Girl then asks him to act as an observer on a promotion exam, where she punishes a Rhea scout for stealing loot from his party. The Rhea Scout considers attacking Guild Girl but is dissuaded by Goblin Slayer's presence. Meanwhile, the two young adventurers manage to recover the sword thanks to Goblin Slayer's advice. Goblin Slayer then receives a special goblin slaying request from Sword Maiden herself. Goblin Slayer and the rest of the party journey to Watertown, where they meet Sword Maiden, a retired adventurer who defeated the previous Demon Lord. Sword Maiden informs them that there have been a string of mysterious and violent murders in the town recently, and they suspect the culprits are goblins living in the town's sewer system. Since the army won't mobilize to fight goblins and other adventurers she decided to reach out to Goblin Slayer. Goblin Slayer agrees to the quest and leads the party into the sewers, where they discover the goblins have learned to use boats to navigate the sewers. After sinking a goblin boat, the party attracts the attention of a giant alligator, which they take advantage of by tricking it into destroying the rest of the goblin fleet. As they return to the surface, Goblin Slayer is troubled at the fact that the goblins knew how to use boats, yet were unaware of the existence of the alligator, leading him to conclude somebody had deliberately placed the goblins in the sewers. After a brief rest in town, Goblin Slayer and his party venture back into the sewers to investigate the source of the goblins. As a precaution, Goblin Slayer brings along a canary to warn them of any poisonous gas. The party delves deeper into the sewers but are led into a trap when they are locked inside of a tomb. The goblins also begin pumping poison gas into the room, which the canary warns the party of, and they successfully seal off the vents to prevent the gas from entering. The goblins then resort to attacking the party directly, and it is revealed that they are being led by a goblin champion. The goblin champion critically wounds Goblin Slayer and attacks Priestess as the goblins overwhelm the rest of the party. Motivated by Priestess's screams, Goblin Slayer regains consciousness and attacks the goblin champion from behind, tearing his right eye out in the process. The Goblin Champion and his minions flee in fear, giving the party a chance to regroup. Priestess's wounds are slightly healed, but Goblin Slayer collapses from his own wounds. Goblin Slayer makes a miraculous recovery, thanks to Priestess and her part in the resurrection ritual. While the rest of the party continues to scout the sewers, Goblin Slayer and Priestess spend the day in town, re-outfitting and having ice cream at the pier. They meet Witch and Spearman, who have delivered an item at Goblin Slayer's request that will soon prove invaluable for the next journey into the sewers. The party regroups with Goblin Slayer and Priestess, and they descend into the sewers once more to find a giant eye. With a little ingenuity, the party easily defeats the creature by getting it to incinerate itself by having it fire in a room filled with flour. Goblin Slayer and his party defend themselves from the oncoming horde of goblins as they try to remove the mirror. They successfully move the mirror and take cover under it so that Dwarf Shaman may collapse the roof and crush the goblins. Victorious, they escape with the mirror, opting to entomb it in concrete. Later, Goblin Slayer confronts Sword Maiden, suspecting her to be the cause of some of the events that spurred the Goblin investigation. She confesses her part in it, expressing she only wished to bring attention to the matter due to her crippling fear of goblins brought on by her traumatic past. Goblin Slayer, while not entirely understanding, promises he will continue to kill goblins even in her dreams. Sword Maiden then declares her affection for him. While the party travels back home, Goblin Slayer announces he'd like to try ice treats, promising to share some with them as well once they got home. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you in the next one.